Welcome everybody to the Xpand podcast with your host Zerin Beattie. Today we have a very special guest by the name of Cody Watts, who has been a dear friend of mine since we were 14 years old. He is a fellow entrepreneur and founder of an alarm security system company called Protocon. He has been there for me through many times in my life, and you guys are in for a treat with this one. We discuss being a young entrepreneur, a businessman, fitness and health, and how we really gather along our journey being the best people that we can become. Thank you all so much, and we hope you enjoy the show. Greetings, everybody. We have a dear friend of mine in the studio today. He goes by the name of Cody Watts. This person has been in my life since we were 14 years old. And you've helped me through a lot of stuff, man, whether it's as a friend, as a person, as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, as an athlete, as someone who goes off on their own adventures and explores themselves. So it's been about time to have you in here. You've helped me even put up this studio, bro. Like, you've been a big influence in this becoming a thing. So
looks great.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too, man.
And it's good to see you, man.
Thank you, dude. I love just being able to pop in here, see the place set up, feel nice and warm being in here. This is it's way different than seeing the pictures. I can feel the change in vibe just walking in the room. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, man. But yeah, dude, we do go way back. Driver's ed to to whatever concerts we were going to in high school, and then
that's so funny.
What was it like? I don't know, maybe first or second year out of high school, we started working on like different ideas, and I think that's when we started to kind of connect a little bit. And then wasn't until we both found out, I think, that we were really going the entrepreneur route that we were like, hey, dude, like, help me out. What ideas you have? Sure. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's been cool to see how our relationship has grown.
It really has, man. Like, I know I say this to you a lot, but you're one of the only people around my age that's another entrepreneur. And that to me means a lot, because that shows that we are learning very similar lessons on a similar path.
Yeah.
Like, everybody, mentors or people that I talk with, they've all experienced these things, and they have, 10 plus years on me. As to you, hold a different perspective, because we hold a similar perspective while we're going through the lessons. So we're able to really help each other in a different way, in a way that really holds a lot of value for me, because I'm respecting your point of view because you're also going through it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's been one of the key factors in our relationship, is our ability to take criticism, take critique the right way. And yeah, there's been things that you've said to me and I didn't really understand until I started, then a few months would pass by and I would be in a certain situation and I'd be like, wow, this is totally making sense now, like why you were suggesting these things, because you had been through a lot more of one thing where I had been through a lot more of a different thing. And so we naturally kind of wanted to be each other's coach in the areas that we were, professional in, I guess. And it was hard to take that advice for a little bit, but then it became like, yeah, dude, rip me apart. If you see something, like, tell me.
It really did. It eventually turned into that, because we both saw the value in where we were coming from. And that took us, still being friends through that process, and then, having that advice in the back of our head, and then it being applicable. Yeah. And with it becoming applicable, it really helped us see, like, oh damn, like Cody has some really good things to say. Like, he's really learning some dope lessons that I haven't even become experienced in yet. Yeah. Then we've been able to really formulate and build really solid guidance for each other. Like, you've really helped me, Cody.
Dude, same, bro. Like, yeah, I it's hard for me to think of somebody that has helped me more than you, just having like someone there side to side, even though we're always some distance away.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always felt like I had someone right there side by side that I can bounce ideas off of. I can rely on you to put me in check if I'm out of line, you know, and somehow when I'm working on something new, I tell you about it and you end up working on something very similar. Like it seems like we've had our middle legs tied together
for real
through the journey. So
for like 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the main lessons that I've learned is, you know, I've always had a hard time with being patient, even since young childhood days. Just never really had that extra patience, you know. And in sales, like I'm in very hardcore direct sales, and I'm involved with building sales teams and hiring and training salespeople. And I've always, like, I don't know, my first 5-6 years in sales, I just was focused on closing and getting the deal and making more money and this and that. And I saw like your patient approach to like building your brand and building your presence and your awareness, and like taking the patience and taking the time to do it the right way to where it would last, you know. And so once I started to incorporate that, once I realized how important that was, I think I had done a decent job at it, but I realized that was like a really key factor to like building strength, like making sure that this big mountain I was building wasn't just going to fall over. Like I was building some really solid, you know, strength on the bottom levels. And it does take a lot of patience and time to build good quality relationships, but also your image, like having the right image, you know, is something that is easy to just kind of have fly right over your head when you're young. Mm-hmm. And you kind of get deeper into the marketplace and you realize like people don't forget stuff.
Yeah, for real. Like the past really does influence the future.
Yeah.
Or even the present.
Yeah.
And that's, thank you, first of all, man. And, you know, I've been so patient, whether it's because of martial arts or golf or whichever, and really developing skill sets for years and years and years and years, and then kind of transitioning that approach to business as well. But something that's been coming up recently is reputation. Mm-hmm. And how like once people have a reputation, it's pretty hard to break that pattern of thought from people. And like it came up this weekend in Dallas at the UFC 228 event, how some coaches were getting like a poor reputation, and a camp was getting a poor reputation. Now
because of the coach, or because
of certain coaches, and now that's spreading like wildfire. Now fighters don't want to work with that camp.
Yeah.
So just like, oh, man, like especially in an industry where people like actually do talk and people work with other athletes and coaches from all around the world, like that's a big thing.
Yeah.
You know?
So I mean, is it repetitive? Is it like the same big mistake repeated over and over by the same person? Is it multiple people?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors that kind of play a role, but...
Is that like how their brand is and some people just don't like it, or have they made some decisions?
I think there have been some poor choices and poor results that I'm not sure if it matters who's doing what. Yeah. What matters is what's happening because of it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, now their reputation is like getting squashed. Yeah. And whether that lasts forever, I'm not sure. But it's something to really consider. And it's funny because... man, there's so many different variables in how you do anything, because like there's that short term damage, but is that going to help the long term? Yeah. And kind of like what's the main goal?
That's an interesting point. That's actually kind of reminds me of something I've been learning about how you brand, like identifying your brand and how you want to be perceived by the marketplace, right? And so I'm digging into this and I'm finding out, and it's something that we've all heard before, like you can't please everyone. But like actually taking that advice and applying it to business, it kind of was hard to swallow at first, because here being in business, I want to please everybody. Mm-hmm. I want my product and my service to be able to be attractive to everybody. But then I realized, okay, wait, I got to have like a target market. I have to have like maybe a specific age range, a specific type of family, specific type of home that is more fit for my type of service, and right. And I read this quote, I think it's from Russell Brunson actually, he said that you can't, I don't know how he worded it, but it's something along the lines of the strongest companies have enemies because like if you have so you basically make this line, right? You have this big audience, and if you draw a line right between the middle, a lot of companies' approaches are, I want to make these people like me on this side, and I want to make these people like me on this side, right? And you have to kind of be like radical. You have to do something radical,
like love and hate kind of ordeal.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly the words he uses, love and hate. If you can get one side to love you, it's better than having both sides like you. Because the one side that loves you is going to be more loyal. They're going to spread your name more. They're going to buy more product. They're going to talk about you. They're going to feel better about you. And the people on the other side that hate you, they're actually going to be talking about you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what's going on with Nike right now.
Yeah, completely.
You know, and I don't really have like a specific opinion about, like, haven't dug into it that much.
Yeah, same.
But it's working.
It's definitely,
the people that hate Nike and hate Colin Kaepernick right now are advertising Nike, and they don't even know it. Like, you're burning these shoes and posting it to your Instagram feed, and you can see the Nike swoosh clear as day.
It's really interesting. Yeah, I think
and
about...
by the way, people that love Nike and people that love Colin Kaepernick are going to buy more shoes because they want to prove to those people, right?
That's so funny.
It's crazy.
I think about Eminem a lot with this concept.
Yeah.
Like, there's no such thing as bad publicity, because people who hate Eminem are talking about him, and because of that, people are hearing his music more. It's a very interesting approach to just brand awareness.
I sometimes wonder too, like, if some of this stuff is planned, like Machine Gun Kelly, right? He kind of, I mean, I guess he had a album come out in 2007, I think was the last one, but since then, I don't know, sometimes artists will put an album out and then you won't hear from them forever. And I have been a fan of Machine Gun Kelly for a while. Like, I think his music is crazy and fun and wild, but I haven't really heard anything from him. And then all of a sudden, he's like the talk right now.
Drops that rap devil.
Because you have someone like Eminem making songs about him.
Yeah.
You have one of the best rappers of our time, like, making songs about someone who doesn't really have much comparison to Eminem. But look at his views on YouTube.
He's blown up. He's blown up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually excites me to an extent, because like I want to see the real Eminem come out from this, because he's gonna respond.
I want to see the real Eminem please stand up.
I want to see him stand up like yesterday. Like,
right, that's Slim Shady.
That's Slim Shady. That's awesome.
But you want to what? You want to see him stand up?
Stand up, man. I want to see that side of Slim Shady or Eminem that hasn't been out there in a really long time.
Yeah.
Because he is arguably one of the best in the world. And that's come from a certain place. Yeah. You know, and I don't know, I want to see that real creative side that has purpose to it. Like, that gives him purpose and a direction and an intention. Yeah. And anybody who's experienced with the real purpose of maybe not a retaliation, but to make a statement. Yeah. Bro, that's going to bring out the best in anybody that's good.
Definitely. Yeah, it's just a higher level of purpose, like you said.
And that just drives that energy, man. It's really fascinating. Yeah. But I could talk about that all day. I want to talk about you a little bit. Please, if you would like to explain kind of what you do, like what's your company. You mentioned services and homes. Kind of like what have you been working on, and what's your experience in?
Yeah. So I was 19 years old when I got recruited off a college campus, going to U of I, and I started selling home security systems door to door. You know, we grew up in small town Idaho, and I never really knew what these systems use was for, and never really knew what they did really. And I go, okay, well, I guess I could probably do that. I was looking for a job, and I ended up going out and finding out that I was pretty good at it. And I remember looking. I got to Tennessee. I was 19 years old, and I get to this crazy extended stay in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. And I'm stoked. Like, I'm totally like taking the biggest risk of my life. All my family and friends are telling me I'm crazy and not to do it and to come, you know.
I remember you asking me about it.
Oh, I was like asking everybody. I remember, shout out Julie Dodge, if you ever listen to this, but she was the one that actually like pushed me over the edge because I was so on the fence. And she was someone that like would help me out with, you know, the crazy science classes that I was taking for exercise science and health. And I just sometimes needed, you know, someone that understood it a little bit better, like we all do, to give me a little help. And so I always had like a lot of respect for her and appreciation for helping me out. And so I valued her opinion. And I asked her, and I kind of explained the situation, and she was actually one that gave me like a lot of confidence to take that step. And that was kind of what put everybody else's opinion out the door.
That's pretty cool.
And it validated like how I felt about it. Just hearing somebody who I respected, you know, say like, go for it. And you did too, but you know, there's just, you're like a bro. You're going to tell me to do whatever I want no matter what. Sure. So having like an unbiased opinion.
Totally.
Anyways, so yeah, I remember getting to my extended stay, and I log into the company login, and I'm thinking, okay, how many accounts do I need to sell to like be considered good? Like, what does this amount of accounts equal in terms of money, and what type of money do I need to make for the summer to be worth it? For me moving across the country and knocking on people's doors and selling home security systems, you know, I go on a company login, I see about 230 company reps names, and I look at the previous year. So this is summer 2012. I click on 2011, and I saw what the end number results were from the previous year. And I remember looking, so the guy that recruited me told me, you know, 60 to 75 accounts was like a good number to shoot for as a first year rep. And I'm seeing first one or top 10 reps on the previous year are like in the 250s and like 300s. And I'm thinking, okay, wait a second, let's do some math. If I can make this much doing 60 to 75 accounts, how much are these guys making if they're doing 250? And so I set out that summer to, you know, just do the best that I could do. And I knew that one day I would do anything it took to be on that top 10 list.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so.
And me knowing how hard you freaking work and knowing the results that came, bro, like it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, dude. And so I ended up doing really well. Bought me some time to focus on my classes when I got back to school. But an interesting turn in my life came when I got back to school after that summer, and I was all jazzed up on like self-help books and motivational YouTube videos.
How many accounts did you get that first year?
I sold 93.
Damn.
Yeah.
Your first time?
Yeah.
That's pretty legit.
Yeah. So 19 years old, you know, everyone's telling me I'm crazy.
Damn.
I went out there with $300 to my name, and yeah, I ended up making $33,000 that summer. And
like after everything, or that's pretty legit.
So a lot of it went towards tuition. A lot of it went, you know, I had to fix my truck, you know, I had fun because I was young and made more money than I ever had in a short amount of time. So anyone like that is going to spend more than they've ever made. But I was also able to live off of that money all throughout the school year so that I could just focus on grades and like playing sports and doing things that I like doing. But as the 2013 summer approached, I started realizing that I was spending more time trying to make myself a better person than reading the books and studying for the tests that I needed to. And it was a weird situation because I couldn't figure out how to have the same passion and determination for the books that I had for developing me. Even though it could be the same thing for some people, I knew that I had a realization that for me, the best way and the way that I wanted to grow was to be studying this other stuff that I was studying. So fast forwarding, I dropped out of school, ended up doing 230 accounts my third year and made the top 3 actually. And so then I realized, okay, I'm good at this. You know, I've exceeded my expectations. I'm making money.
In 3 years?
On my third year, so second year I did 117, so barely grew.
Yeah.
But I got lazy. So first year I was really hardworking, right?
Yeah.
Second year I got really good, but I didn't have that same work ethic, and I was kind of betting on how good I was. And then the third year, I realized the problem. First year, worked really hard. Second year, bet on my skills and didn't have the same work ethic. So I knew that the third year, if I wanted to increase my production, I had to just combine those two. I need to just work hard like it was my first year, and realize that I had more skill level than ever, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so I went from 117 to 230, and I proved to myself I almost doubled my production. And so then I realized, okay, I'm good at this. Had the confidence that I should not return to school, and ended up staying with that company for 7 years before deciding to go out and create and start my own. So that's kind of how that all started. So yeah, we're about 6 months in right now, operating art and under our own. So it's been a journey.
It's been so great to hear your story from the inside.
Yeah.
And like be along with the ride.
Yeah.
Because like with the magnitude in which you're growing your business, you're really showing me and teaching me a lot on how like big organizations operate.
Yeah.
And because not only because you're working on building one, but because you worked in one for so long.
Yeah.
As to me, I've just been an entrepreneur since I was 18, 19. I've never really, quote unquote, had a real job, as a lot of people like to say.
Right.
And like, I mean, I bartended here and there, and I'm managing Stillwater now, which is essentially my first job.
Right.
Which is bizarre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you're really showing me a different side and how to organize and manage and produce.
Yeah. Well, and I've been fortunate to be around people that, that company I worked with the first 7 years, I was able to work into a spot where I had a lot to do with recruiting, training. I was the guy that had to go be the top guy on the board and also help others hit their goals. And so learning how to manage those two sides and seeing how the business structure works. Yeah, I'm fortunate to have taken that ride in an industry that has so much, like everybody has so much to do with like the business, because everyone pretty much is their own business.
Yeah, totally.
So you have to kind of know the numbers, and you learn customer service, and you learn accountability, but then you also learn a little bit of the inner business workings as well. So.
What are some things that you sell as a company now?
So we right now are focused on just basic home security. So arming your doors, arming your windows, having glass break protection, monitored smoke and heat sensor. So there's a lot of people that this may seem kind of basic, self-explanatory stuff, but I don't think of it as a lifesaver necessarily. I think of it as a heads up, an awareness. And it's an awareness tool. One of the biggest objections that I'll get when I'm out selling is we don't need it. We have a gun. We can protect our own house. Everyone feels like, I guess this big swallow your pride thing to accept the fact that you need.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
But for me, I know that I can protect myself, but what if you're sleeping and you had a little thing beep on your phone and you knew that specific sound meant doorbell camera. Someone's 5 feet away from my front door, right? And so you start to associate these sounds and these notifications on your phone with what's happening in your home. Imagine, you lay in bed, you go to bed at night, and you get a notification that you left your garage door open, and it's prompting you, asking if you would like to close it, and you press a button and it closes your garage door. I had one of our systems in a 2-story house I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and I had sold this stuff, for years, but I didn't understand the full benefit of it until I actually used it in my home. And some people call it lazy, maybe, because I didn't want to get off the couch to turn the thermostat up or down. I'd rather do it from my phone. I think of it as just, simplifying your living style and adding awareness to the safety of your home.
So you've told me some pretty crazy stories about the people that you've worked with, whether it's like they just got robbed and they're happy you're there, or they get a system and then they get robbed and it's taken care of. Like, Well, what are some of the best stories that you've come across?
Yeah. Yeah, there's tons of them. It's, and hearing those stories adds to my confidence levels and my conviction and helps me sell, right? Because I've seen firsthand that these can actually help somebody out, especially in some of the neighborhoods I've been in. And one thing I've been telling people is like, hey, I don't get to choose which homes get broken into, and you don't want to see what I've seen. And so I just have to assume that it's every house, because I do feel like some type of responsibility, even if they're a little bit in the market for my service. I feel a responsibility to show them that they can save 2 trips to Starbucks each week or month to have this in their home. So yeah, I've seen and heard and enough stories where I'm not just like using this scare tactic. I'm actually, from real experience, trying to show them that I don't want the same thing to happen to them, basically. But one of the craziest story is one of the guys that I've worked with in the past actually saved a lady's life. And it's crazy. So we're out there, we're working, I think it was like a Saturday or something, and he goes up, he's knocking on the door, there's no answer, and knocks again, no answer. And so he turns away. His name's Nick. You know Nick.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Nick Ellisor, yeah. What's up, Nicky? I hope he listens to this. Yeah, so he knocks on the door a couple times, walks away, and he hears like a quiet yell for help. And he said that he thought he was just having weird things going on in his head. He's like, what the heck is that? So he turns around and he goes, hello? And he heard it again. And then he realizes it's a cry for help from inside the home that he was knocking on. And so now he starts to get kind of freaked out. So he knocks on the door again. He goes, hello, do you need help? And he heard the lady clear as day say, I think she said, I need help. Yes, come in. So, something along those lines. So then Nick goes, okay, I'm going to come in, and like cracks the door open, and he sees this 88, 90-year-old lady laying on the floor, disconnected from her oxygen tank.
Holy crap.
And he goes, I'm going to help you. I'm all good. I'm going to come in and help you. And so he lifts her up off the ground, sets her on her recliner, connects her oxygen tank, and then runs over and grabs her medicine and a glass of water and brings it back over to her. And so once she got calmed down and got back connected to the oxygen, she ended up telling him what had happened. And rewind an hour, her daughter had actually left to go to the grocery store. And her daughter hardly ever leaves her mom there alone, right? And she's like, hey, Mom, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'll be right back. 5 minutes after daughter leaves, this elderly woman thinks, okay, I'm going to get up and walk around the house and do some cleaning. Sees a breadcrumb on the floor and decides she's going to bend over and pick it up. Ends up tripping over her cables and falling, face first on the ground. Yanks the tube out of the oxygen tank, and she had been laying there for about 50 minutes without, just calling for help, running low on oxygen. So I think that if much time would have passed beyond that, her daughter was probably, I don't know how far into shopping she was or how much, what her return time was going to be, but it was definitely it
was like a fatal move.
It was a universal alignment for Nick to be knocking on her door at that exact moment. And the craziest thing is that her and her daughter had just been talking about getting medical life alert.
Which you offer.
Which we offer. So Nick calls the daughter, says, hey, I just saved your mom's life. Get over here. She shows up, and, they're not talking about home security. They're talking about what had just happened. She's trying to figure out who Nick is and everything. And he's like, yeah, I'm out here. I do home security, and I was just knocking on your mom's door, and I heard her cry for help. And they ended up signing her up and getting her connected to, and it wasn't like getting the sale. It was actually feeling like we have a purpose to be out there. Like it's weird. Sometimes I feel like we're undercover emergency response people out in the neighborhood.
That's interesting.
It's crazy. It's a lot more than just a sales thing. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, dang, man, like that's so freaking cool, and that can be related to so many different industries if you have a real passion for what you do.
Oh yeah.
Like whether it's training somebody and you actually help them like legitimately move better with better circulation, and then their diseases start to go away, and they get life back in their eyes, and now they're happy and they're excited, and they're actually looking forward to living a longer, healthier life.
Yeah, dude, and that's crazy. Like, so you get that satisfaction when you're training somebody, right? Because we feel fulfillment when we can see that our trainings and our advice is actually working. Right?
Completely.
And so I have that not necessarily with the customer, but with people I train. Helping someone better their life almost. Yeah.
It's pretty special, man.
Yeah.
What pushed you to leave your company that you worked with for 7 years and continue in the same industry, just under a different light? Like, why didn't you just switch industries? Like, why did you keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, great question, man. It's a great question. So I shot bullets at that idea. I shot holes through it. I was trying to test whether or not this is going to be the route. I knew that I had grown away from the company that I was with. I wanted to go do something new. I wanted to take what I knew and run with it and kind of spread my wings in a sense. And so I looked at insurance sales. I looked at agricultural, agri-grow, agri-tech, whatever, vitamins for crops, those type of sales. I looked at solar, selling solar tiles for homes or solar panels. And I realized that, okay, even though I'm a good salesperson, I have to learn a whole new industry. So I can't bet on the confidence I have in one industry for another, because it's kind of like starting all the way over with the knowledge and knowing how to do it, and then I started realizing, I do have a lot of passion for this industry. And it's not just the fact that I feel like I might be someone that can show up and potentially save somebody's life or get them out of a burning home or get them help if they've fallen, or wake them up in the middle of the night because someone broke in and it gives them that extra 3 seconds to grab the gun. Like, those are situations that are real, and I have a lot of drive for that. But I think the biggest thing is, throughout my years in the industry, I've been able to collect data on the problems that I've seen in the industry. Questions that customers have asked me and feeling bad when I've had to say no. Can you guys do this? Can we have no contract? Can we just, install our own system? Lots of different, can we just buy all the equipment and have a cheaper bill? And I realized, why doesn't that exist? Like, it exists, but it's not, why can't I provide that? So if all of these questions are being asked, then those are my marketing strategies. I need to go market myself as someone that has those solutions and fix those problems. So now I have the same drive to solve the problems that I do to potentially save someone's life.
Wow. I've never heard that response from you.
Yeah.
That's spectacular.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense in terms of just your experience level and what's kept you moving forward.
Yeah.
Because so many people, especially at our age, and especially at the age that we started at, will switch up career after career after career after career, or just job patterns or whatever you want to call it, and they don't see something all the way through.
Yeah.
But you're seeing something all the way through has allowed you to actually be able to develop the proper perception to continue on that path, and that can go with you wherever you go in business, because now you're able to gather data and be asked questions and fulfill purposeful responses, and that's a skill, man. That's no longer just you selling smart home security. That's you as a person that has a characteristic to now accomplish those tasks exquisitely.
Yeah.
That's spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, it does feel good, and it is kind of an interesting thing. And it's been really frustrating for me to watch people try to go and do it on their own. Regardless of their industry or their startup. Not that I have doubt in people, but it's just that I know there's so much power in getting through, like finishing something
100%.
And learning as much as you can, especially while you're young. Why do we have 18-year-olds that go do a job for a year and then want to start their own, niche of that company? Soak it up. You're 18 years old. Spend 5 years learning everything about that business so you know the strengths, the weaknesses. You can develop an idea of what you want to do to make it different, and then go out to the marketplace and freaking dominate. Like, dude, I thought I was ready to go off on my own 3 years in.
Mm-hmm.
And then
add 4 years to that, man.
Yeah.
You're a different machine.
Oh yeah.
You're an animal at that point.
And the only thing that gave me that confidence was my ability to sell. I knew nothing, I knew some, but not anything compared to what I know now about the business side. Mm-hmm. Nothing compared. And because of my ability to be, to swallow my pride, be humble, and just kind of keep moving through and learning, that made me unstoppable and have no fear when I did realize, okay, now it's time.
Man, I remember you contemplating the first time and then really going through the process of committing to it.
Yeah.
We've spent months in a row speaking day by day.
Oh yeah.
We've really helped each other through these great decisions, these big decisions that we've been on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been so cool to watch you gain more experience. And even whether it's you finally deciding to stick with that old company for as long as you did, and seeing other salespeople just give up after one summer.
Yeah.
You've really watched a lot of evolution in being a manager.
So much, man. Dude, oh my gosh, when I first started, I don't know what exactly has changed from 2012 to 2018 in terms of the generations. But it is so it's so challenging, man, to find people right now that will stick through the tough spots and just figure things out on their own. It's everybody's waiting for something to happen. And I've been able to sniff out some people, but I'm talking have 100 interviews and invite 50 of them to a second interview. 10 of them show up, because by that time, half of them already been told by their mom or their dad or someone else that they're being scammed or it's too good to be true or blah, blah, blah. So they're letting someone else, decide their future when, yes, those people care about you and that's why they're giving you advice. But if you are 18 to 25 and you're disregarding a amazing job opportunity without even going to the second interview, that's weakness. Okay. And then those 10 people that do show up, 5 of them show up to the training. 1 of them end up actually going out to work, hoping that one person will actually be able to figure it out. And so yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they still exist. There still is people out there, but it's for some reason, man, it was just a huge change from the generations.
Yeah, well, I think that goes hand in hand with the mentality of people working in a company for a year, 2, 3 years max, and starting their own because they understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. There's this very, very interesting approach to, I'm going to make a decision, and in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, we're going to be worth a shit ton of money.
Oh my gosh.
And we've had thoughts like that, whether it's releasing a product and thinking it's going to do better than it does, but then you get set back and you understand the process and then you respect the path way more because of those decisions. But I was talking with a friend last night how I think movies play a big problem in this scenario because they don't they show within 2 hours. It could be a few years in that process, but they show one decision leads to another, And this leads to another, not understanding that there should be months within those two things even occurring.
Yeah.
And so there's a really interesting process with that, or even explaining how I've worked with artists. Like I met one business owner, I got in contact with a tattoo artist, I got in contact with his friend.
Yeah.
And then months later, a design was drawn because of his friend.
Right.
That was like a year-long process.
Mm-hmm.
But if you explain it, it sounds like it was a few weeks and now something was made. Like people don't understand that it really does take time.
Right.
And that time creates that experience and that patience and that ability to problem solve and adapt and evolve and really put your skill sets to the test. Like, dude, it really is. It comes down to building relationships with the proper people.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot longer than you think. And sometimes you can meet somebody and start working with them immediately, but most of the time, man, like it's, it's a give and take, and you have to be able to and be willing to give yourself to somebody before you even ask for anything, bro. Even if you're helping them make money or whatever, or giving them a return, like business is a very interesting world, and I freaking love every moment of it, man.
So kind of we're backing up to what you just said about the quick decisions leading to quick results. Like that is exciting. I've found though that it's in a perfect world, you can go work X amount of hours and have this amazing thing happen, right? Or you can have this awesome product launch and you sell 10,000 units. Like that's a perfect world. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't really excite me like it used to. Mm-hmm. I think what excites me is learning the fundamentals and the unknown variables to almost just like if I'm selling a potential customer, I'm taking away objections before they can bring them up. Like if I feel like they're in a time crunch, I'll say, don't worry, I'll be quick. So that I take that away. I don't even give them the ability to say that. Same thing where like if I'm approaching this new product launch, right? Or let's say that you're about to like launch some new like program. You're thinking of everything that could go wrong, right? And you're like, I call it shooting holes through the idea, or shooting bullets at the idea, making it bulletproof. And you're thinking of every little possible scenario that could go wrong. And people just want to think about, like, your dad actually told me.
He's the best at this.
Yeah.
He fucking hits so deep sometimes.
Because we're like entrepreneurs, business people, salespeople, we're all freaking optimistic people, dude. Yeah. We think we're invincible. We think that things are just gonna go like the best thing that I love when I hear from young like hustlers is, I don't know, dude, I'll just make it happen. It's like, okay, I love the ambition, but like how?
Yeah,
right?
For real.
Like there's going to be some shit that happens, man. Like, so how are you going to handle that shit? And your dad said, hey, when you go from being a salesperson to like an owner, or even if it's just like taking ownership of your life, you got to welcome some pessimistic sides of you. Like you're Mr. Optimistic.
Interesting.
Everything's going to be okay, dude. Like everything's just going to work out. That's not how you run a business. You run a business by thinking about all the shit that could go wrong. Yeah. And hoping that little things were going to go right.
He's the best at it.
He said that and it's really stuck with me. It's helped me out a lot.
I've never heard those exact words from him. Yeah. But like literally you give him any idea, and it's bothered me for years, but getting older, I see the value in it. Mm-hmm. Like I'll tell him anything and he'll immediately say 5, 6, 7, 8 things like why it won't work. Dude, and like it fucking hits deep sometimes, man. You know, because there's that part of me that wants to respect his opinion and his experience, but there's also a part of me that's like, well, times are different. You may not know kind of what I'm going about or kind of what's going on here. So it's this very interesting give and take of your own intuition and people around you that have been successful. Like my dad's been very successful.
Because you can't neglect or disregard what they're saying.
You can't.
Even though they might be explaining a certain outcome where it's not really relevant, you can take what they're saying and make it apply.
Completely.
Like, for example, the guy that I met with today, he was talking about, well, what about the old guy that doesn't want to install his own system? Like, you got to have a technician for that guy. And I'm thinking, that's not our target market. We want the young people that can install it themselves, or the older people that can install it themselves. right? But there's still some value to what he's saying.
Yeah.
Even though he might be explaining it in a confusing way,
No, I
there's
agree with
still
that.
something to be.
And on top of that too, like I've really battled with that concept because my dad brings up like, oh well, what about this person that doesn't want what you're offering? Well, to me, it's like,
Yeah.
you're naming like, okay, 12 people may not want it, the people that you're talking about, but there's a lot of people that may actually want what's going on. So
Yeah.
if you base your plan off of the few people that it may not work for, then what are you exactly doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like being an entrepreneur.
It goes back to love and hate, right?
It does, man.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that there are both sides and certain people within both categories.
Yep.
But how do you move around that? And that's where people find the real answers. Or how do you blend them together to answer the questions for the people who may not use your service, but also find value in what you're doing? Because if they can perceive value, then there is value there.
Mm-hmm.
If people don't want what you're selling, but they can still see there's value in it,
They're gonna tell someone else about it.
Completely.
That could use it.
It goes so deep and it goes so intricate.
Yeah.
And being,
I mean that's a slippery slope to trying to please everyone though.
it is.
Is trying to blend it. Right? If you're focusing on trying to blend it, then you're taking attention away from the people that need you to keep making them happy and solving their problems, right? If you're trying to blend it, I feel like that's just a I don't know, like a muffled way
Interesting.
to say like I'm trying to please everybody.
I think by blend, I was more referring to the concept of yin and yang, how there is both in both.
Yeah.
So a blend doesn't have to be 50-50, but also involving that both categories are within even the concept of what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, so yin and yang, they mean they're not opposites, they're in relation to. So if you think about summer and winter, they're seemingly opposites, but they are seasons.
Right.
So that's how they are in relation to one another. And you get like the nervous system where it's the parasympathetic, which is the relaxed, or the sympathetic, which is the energy. Like they are parts of the body. That's how they are in relation to one another.
Yes.
So that kind of concept, but
I wonder, something I've thought about too, it might, like, not having to rely on one product or service.
boom.
Because
I've been thinking about this a lot recently.
yeah. And that just kind of, I don't think it's an effort to make the people that hate you happy. I think it's to provide more for the customer base and the target market that you already have. So let's say that you got this group over here that loves you and they're using a specific product, right? Maybe they're doing your Xpand workshops, okay, and they're loving that. And these other people over here hate it and they think it's totally dumb, but they can see that these other people get value from it. Then you make this amazing like yoga mat, and somehow it has like this gel that like massages your knees while you're doing a yoga pose. I don't know, like something wild, right?
And I love it.
And those same people that love you that are already going to your class all of a sudden buy this yoga mat. Now these people over here that hate you, they're like, wow, this Xpand group is actually like got some pretty cool stuff. And they see one product, one service, more community, where eventually they have to kind of either join or look like kind of dumb, like hating on it because it's so freaking badass, that they're either going to join it now because they've seen enough cool products go out and enough people's lives be changed that they're going to finally join it, or they're going to look kind of dumb by talking bad about it.
Especially if it's real.
Yeah.
Like real knowledge, real science, real everything.
Yeah.
And that's funny because, so like a lot of people talk crap about the audit systems and their certifications and their education system, but it's probably because they're unfamiliar with how the body really operates, because they're so on point, man.
Oh yeah.
They blow so much knowledge out of the water. And
Are you getting paid to say this right now?
no, I'm not. I mean, I'm an affiliate because I believe in their stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I fully believe in what they're
Absolutely,
doing and who they are.
Yeah.
And
No, they're great, man. I think they're a
incredible.
badass company. Yeah.
and whether it's ESIC with the Steel Mace, who I've become very involved with and very close with, and we just went to the UFC fights together, and I'm one of the Viking Ninja coaches, so we've been working intimately together for past like almost 2 years, which is kind of crazy. But in terms of like what that whole realm of knowledge can do, man, I was 10 years in the industry when I finally started working with On It. Like, I wasn't a beginner, bro. I was very well educated, and they blew me away like I didn't know what I was talking about, period.
Wow.
And that was so fascinating to me because it was like, what level are you guys really on? What are you freaking finding? Who are you talking with? Where are your resources coming from? Like, never thought about training the nervous system, doing the fascia lines and true mobility, getting the joints to operate properly with your synovial fluid and how your whole body integrates, man.
Totally different approach.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
And same thing with you. You brought up earlier how you started seeing these holes, and that's what's pushed you further, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I was well educated and I didn't know what I was talking about. That's a big problem in my eyes, man.
Yeah.
Like, if I wasn't dumb and very well experienced with my own personal experience as well as my education, and I was still like just undereducated, how many other people who didn't know as much as I did were still like fucking up their bodies?
Oh yeah.
And that's become like, they've relit that fire beneath me to help push these concepts better. Like, I was about to leave the industry right before On It, man, because like I was taking all these supplements, my body seized up, and I could just like, I was getting results like big muscles and shit, but what was it really doing for my true health and mobility, being a martial artist, being a mover, being all of these things, and still like becoming damaged because of the market or advertisements or whatever people want to push down your throat that don't even give a shit about who you are or your real body health. And I meet these people who also see that and understood that and were wanting to reroute it in their truly like intellectual manners. I was like, damn, like they gained my respect instantly, man, instantly. And from then I've been all board with it.
Yeah, all on it.
Been all up on it, man. Been all up on it, man.
On it, in it.
Expand up on it, you know.
Expand on it.
Expand in it, on
Can
it.
you expand on that?
I could.
You should make a little subline, like clothing line called on that.
Expand in it. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm
just fortunate, man. I'm fortunate to also hold a perception where I'm able to be like, damn, I need to learn some things, even though I'm a decade in. You know, and that's not counting my, golfing my whole life or playing sports and stuff, but like actually being well educated. And so that's been a big part of it.
And even though you were your own boss and you created, launched Xpand and you started working, like, I don't feel like you jumped ahead of yourself of where you were at. You had that humility to like learn and take your time and like get educated before like really, dude, because I saw you go through a transitional moment where you really were able to define who you were, and that's when you started to like voice yourself on Instagram, Facebook, and like I was like, wow, this is like a whole new vocal, like confident Zerin. Like, you know who the frick you are, dude, and you're not afraid to like let people know about it. And I think that, I know that if you would have done that earlier on, it would have been like you were just saying shit to like make yourself sound like you knew what you were talking about. But the conviction behind your words, and when you actually started doing that, it was like you didn't have to think of what to say or how to say it. It just flew because it's real. It's freaking real. And that is actually the number one thing I see holding salespeople back, right? And by the way, when you're putting stuff on Instagram and Facebook, you're selling. Like, selling has a bad connotation, right? Because it's like, it has this like, the first thing that comes to mind is like, I'm going to shove a product down your throat and I'm going to take your money in return, and then I'm never going to see you again. Selling, I think, is like a same type of word for influencing. Like, you are influencing a decision. You are like sharing your thoughts and hoping to get somebody on the same page as you. So you're selling, right? And I guess the main thing that separates the word selling is with slight intention to receive, something payable. Like I want to get paid somehow Like I want to create an income. I want to create a lifestyle. I want to create a career by being able to influence these.
Could there be different forms of payment too?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
that's not just money?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's how you define it. What's your currency? What's your currency? There's multiple currencies.
Totally.
Currency is respect. Currency is culture.
Gary Vee right there. He wants that. He wants to be admired in that sense.
Yeah. You know, currency is I think having a following, people that want more of what you're saying.
That's priceless right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if you have that, you have dollar currency too.
They feel each other and they feed each other. And thank you, man, for your words. Like you've known me a very long time.
Oh man,
and, you know,
I freaking am impressed with what you've done, man. Like, I think it's really important right now in our generation, in our times, to have somebody like you to step out and like go after, because just like you were talking about on it, like you are completely changing the way that people think of fitness, health. You know, they're like when I think of Xpand, like it's not, I don't think of working out. I think of going and being going into my primal state of mind. And, you know, it's like what we've done together, what I've seen you do. Like it's nunchucks, it's bow staffs, it's meditating by the river. It's a whole different approach to well-being. And it's not the traditional yoga class. It's not the traditional gym membership. It's not going and doing a cycling thing. It's like a completely, and I think people need that right now. People need a new opportunity because there's a lot of people out there that want to become more fit and more and healthier, but there's the blue ocean and the red ocean, and you're the blue ocean. You're the guy that there's nothing else to compare to. Okay? If you were a gym, you're a red ocean because there's a lot of other gyms to compare you to. You're a blue ocean because there's not any other Xpands out there. And that's what people need. They need a brand new, fresh opportunity. Freaking awesome, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cody.
Yeah, dude.
Man.
Thanks for the hat, bro.
Bro, thank you. Like, to finish off this part of it, you've really been one of the only people to really know what I've been through and what I've been doing to be where we are and where I've been pushing to be where we're going. What I've been willing to put myself through or hold back because of intuition, to hold more knowledge and obtain more knowledge, to be able to respond in a genuine way that's coming from a real place of comprehension. Like that to me is a genuine response if it's being comprehended in a deeper manner where it can be related to many things.
Right.
And because I coach so many different types of people with so many different backgrounds, if I'm unable to relate a concept to a plethora of different types of people, like, do I even understand what I'm doing? You know what I mean? Like, whether it's an attorney or someone who played soccer or another martial artist, like, you have to be able to perceive these concepts and relate them to be not only beneficial, but valuable for people.
Right.
And that's come through that language and me, you know, choosing my words very wisely through the whole process and not speaking too soon. Because when I got stumped by On It, it's like, how much do I not know?
Yeah.
And that pushed me deep into be like, whoa, hold up a few seconds. Like, I can say a lot of things that I'm confident in, but may not even be real. So it's really, that was a big reflection moment for me for a few years. And now I'm regaining my understanding of everything and how the body mind really infuse with one another, and how, like, you know, your brain is your body because of your nervous system, and your nervous system is your brain because of your body. Like, they're one and the same thing. And how your emotions can translate through your body language and how that interprets who you are because of your chemical makeup. There's so many things that I've been really able to comprehend and see how they influence one another.
Wow.
So, you know, as we know, bro, like, we're going to be going over something here in a bit that's going to influence everything that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Something that I've been developing for 7+ years, man, because I've been aware of the benefits of meditation and breathing practices and your joints and your nervous system and how they relate to one another, and building a formula where it's able to bring this world of knowledge into a simplified manner for people to comprehend and implement on many different levels, because they are one and the same. And that to me has become what Xpand is. You know what I mean? And you laugh and I smile because it's just real. And bro, I freaking love you.
Love you too, man.
I have more questions for you before we end this. We're an hour in, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
Because this has been a freaking wonderful experience.
Yeah.
But like for real, man, you're one of my absolute favorite people. One of the people that I know I can call at any time, and who, if you may not answer because you're busy, because I understand that, man. You know I understand that, but I know you'll get back to me.
That's
and
my phone number.
And it's just our relationship, bro. I just freaking appreciate you. But I would like to ask you, what are some of the biggest lessons you've been able to learn that's helped you, that you hope could help other people? Whether it's working in a corporate setting or whether it's running a business, like what are some things that you've really gathered along the way that you would like to share with somebody?
Yeah.
Because you bring up a lot of certain topics that like I know you've been pinpointing and really delving deep into and learning.
Yeah. Well, there's a long list, but I'll just kind of speak on something that's kind of present, I guess. So I think of myself as somebody that can hopefully add value to those younger than me, you know. And obviously there's others, you know, that might be older than me that might be able to pick up some things from me, but I just naturally what I've seen in the past is I've been able to influence young, hustle, motivated guys right out of high school or right out of college that need some kind of vehicle to get them to success. And I guess, you know, I'm always thinking about how I can take what I've learned and help someone get to that success quicker, or maybe even as quick as I did, because I don't think I'm special. I don't think that I'm just this natural gifted salesperson, but a lot of people that I've trained and worked with see me that way. Like it's Cody. Like he's just, of course he sold one today. Of course he's going to go and do this new thing. Like it's Cody. Where I think, you know, that's cool, but I feel like the biggest lesson that I've learned that is getting you to the next, how to get yourself to the next step. Okay, so I'm going to kind of like take the last 1 minute of me talking here and kind of rope it in. Giving yourself comas, putting yourself into a coma often. Okay.
Yeah, please proceed with that. This is brand new for me. I'm learning this with everybody
Do we have
right
time?
now. Of course we got time.
Okay. Let me,
Yeah.
Just
Comas.
A mic here. Take a swig of water. This little Bruce Lee doll over here is crazy. Okay, so forcing yourself into a coma. Okay. You right now. All right. There we go. So we all define ourselves a certain way. Okay. And it's based on our results that we're currently having. It's based on our surroundings, who we identify with, who we identify as, right? How you get to the next level is so here's a scenario. I'm just going to give it to you like this. Okay. You get in a car wreck and you're paralyzed and you go into a coma, and you're in a coma for 3 months. And let's say that before you went into the car, you got in a car wreck, before you went into the coma, you were a professional basketball player, okay? And you got into a car wreck. You're one of the best basketball players, dude. You're like, you know, hanging out with LeBron. And you get in this car wreck, you go into a coma. 3 months later, you finally wake up out of the coma, and you're like, I don't know who I am. I don't know my name. I don't know what I do for work. I don't know how I got here. What's going on? And you've completely lost all memory.
Interesting.
And you come to your best friend and you say, dude, what's my name? And I say, your name is Zerin Beattie. And you go, okay, who am I? Like, what do I do? And I go, well, you're actually one of the best players in the NFL. And you go, what, really? What's the NFL? I'm like, you're a professional football player. And then you go, oh yeah, football. You make that association. You remember football. Okay. So football, like, so I play? I'm like, yeah, dude, you're one of the best NFL players to ever live. So you have nothing else to compare your life to or what you're capable of except for what I just told you. So now you're going to operate and behave in a way that the best NFL player in the freaking world would operate. You are going to watch maybe a couple of the top players on TV. You might go out to, the field and you're going to watch them and you're just going to adapt and adjust on the fly. And you're probably going to be able to perform at the highest level just by being told that. So putting yourself into a coma is forgetting about the past, right? Keeping the lessons with you, but forgetting about the past. And welcoming this new idea of worth. Like, I am worthy of taking this next step forward. And it's just welcoming all these new capabilities. So that, I see so many like mental blocks. Everybody's like, oh, I just need to do more of this. I just need to do more of this. And they think that this little phrase that they say or this book that they read or this video that they watch is going to be the solution. When really, they just need to put themselves into a coma and go from this, you're a cub, and you see the wolves. You see the male wolves over here. They're hunting. They're making shelters. They're watching over the cubs. You're playing around the cubs, but you know that you're the daddy wolf. And you know how to hunt because you've watched it. You know how to build shelter. You know how to like stay camouflaged through the forest because you've seen the older males do it. And you know that you can walk over there. The only thing keeping you from it is that you have not been in that group yet. You know what you need to do. You just need to take that step. And you need to completely forget about all the restrictions and the mental blocks. And you need to just like accept the fact that that's who you are now. That's really the best way to explain it. Accept the new you.
Interesting. How did that come about? How did that click for you?
Lots of urgency to figure out how to sell. And sales are slumps. There's ups, there's downs. And there's plenty of days that I thought I was never going to be able to sell anything ever again. There's days where I've broken things and like given up and screamed and cried and like, but I just thought, well, I always think, if other people can do it and they can do it at these high levels, nothing says that I can't. Mm-hmm. Nothing says that I shouldn't beat them.
Yeah, that's such a valid point. And like
how do those people that you watch and follow and study, that might be big influencers, how did they get to that spot?
Yeah.
They didn't just say, here you go, man, now you can come into this group. They demanded it. Mm-hmm. They just one day they just decided, really it's a decision that they are in that seat.
And through years and years of experience, they become valuable in that seat.
Correct.
And that's such a great point, especially the past few years for me when I've been around millionaires and top UFC fighters.
Yeah. Dude, you've been around some cool people, man.
Bizarre people, in normal life.
Yeah.
And they're just people.
Yeah.
And that's like the beauty in being around people like that, or big CEOs of millions of dollars of worth of companies.
You think there's some like alien.
They're just people,
yeah.
bro. That's been very helpful for me the past few years.
For sure, man. And dude, that's it's weird because you actually have to like be around somebody or talk to them to realize that they're just a human being.
Completely.
You hear their success stories. You hear where people came from. A lot of the people that I follow and watch who are millions and billions, they came from nothing. Mm-hmm. So we know that when we hear these stories, but it hits so much deeper when you actually talk to them.
Well, they feel like an anomaly, and that's where it's like, whoa, this person's something special. But then you get around them, it's like, they're fucking just people, man. They just do things more proficiently.
So, and that's, I guess, what my one advice is just to like take that veil off, like take the blinders off, stop limiting yourself to like who you are right now. You know, if you want to, who do you want to be? What experiences do you have? The relationships, what kind of lifestyle you want to live? And why not just step into that? Just step into that and say things to yourself like, you know, like I guess how you talk to yourself is really important, right? Like if you say, "Oh man, $4 for a red box, that's a lot of money." You're telling yourself that $4 is a lot of money. So you're telling yourself that you don't really, you know. So what if you flip that and you say like, I don't know, it's changing your whole perspective, right? Like one of the guys that I knew, well, I still know him. He's a owner of a pretty big home security company. He said that he bought a car when he was 16 years old. He bought a car that was way out of his price range, and he had a really hard time like convincing himself to buy it. But he bought it once he realized that he was worth $100,000 a year. He decided, hey, wait a second, this car is 30 grand. Or no, I don't know how much it was, 20 grand, whatever. He's like, I need to put it like 5 grand down on it. But I don't know, because I only make 35 grand a year. I don't only make 40 grand a year. And he goes, why am I telling myself that? Why am I telling myself that I'm worth 35 grand a year? And then he decided, nope, I'm worth 100,000 a year. Even though he'd never been paid $100,000 in a year. He didn't even have a job that was going to pay him $100,000 a year. But he decided, I'm worth $100,000 a year. He went and bought the car, and now he, you know, owns a really successful company. So it's crazy how your self-talk has a lot to do with you stepping into that new spot.
I completely agree. And I think people have to be careful with that concept, because if you're just telling yourself something but not behaving a certain way, there's a big disconnect there. Like your actions have to follow what you're saying.
Like, yeah, dude, when's the last time you said, oh man, I don't have the money for that? Or like, oh dude, I don't have time. Or oh, I don't have the money to go on that vacation. Like, be careful with what you say.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I think a really cool lesson that I've had this past year that really ties in with yours is like, be who you want to be in terms of what skills would that person have? What would their knowledge be in? And start learning those things. Like, what does that perfect person, in a sense, like, what are they really good at to be where they are?
Right.
And that's where you drive your education. Is it in the body? Is it in finances? Is it in marketing? Is it in video production? And that's like, okay, if this person is in this scenario around these types of people, what value would they be bringing? And that's kind of really been helping me push myself in where I should be educating myself.
Yeah. It's all, oh man, yeah. It's crazy how, don't you feel like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know?
Completely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty
It's a
wild,
humbling
man.
process, but that's what keeps me even moving. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
They're one and the same.
It is, yeah. It'd be boring if we found it all out, right?
Yeah. Man, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. This has been great. Yeah, love it.
Love you.
It's been nice to finally do this, man.
It's been incredible. And last
If
thing,
you guys don't follow Zerin or Xpand yourself on Instagram, do that.
Yeah, where do you want to bring people right now? In the stage that you are with your company, where would you like people to find you, or how would you like that?
I think the best thing is just on my Instagram, because they'll find links to my business Instagram account, and there's a little bit more personality right now and consistency on my personal account. So it's Cody Watts TRG. So
Watts with two T's?
Yep.
So Cody.
CODYWATTS
Excellent.
Yeah. It looks like I'm famous because I have like 10,400 followers, but I paid for like half of them when I was really dumb. So yeah, we've had talks about that on Instagram Live actually. Don't cheat the system.
Yeah, for real.
Grow some organic
build
growth.
a real, get real people to follow you.
When you have 10,000 followers and 20 likes, it's not cool.
That's freaking hilarious. That's true. That's experience right there.
It's that's real,
amazing.
Real shit.
I'm really looking forward to watching where you go, bro. You know I'm here with you. I know we have each other's backs. And you have my full support, man. So
thanks, brother.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Love you.
You too, bro.
Peace.